Welcome to the CMO Spotlight. And today I am delighted to have the Chief Marketing Officer for NetApp, Gabie Boko.
Think about something you're good at and to use that as the core. The person that was saying that to me was really driving me towards focusing in on customers because that becomes the lens by which you're able to succeed, and I've kept that. Focusing on somehow bringing customer success, customer improvement. Customers can drive and dictate, so many different things. So I've paralleled that with how to innovate. I'm a little bit of a bold marketer. I try to be bold. I think that balance is, what do the customers need? What can I help them do? And how do I, connect that back to innovation? If you're starting out in your career, I think it's the anchoring on what you're going to be good at. What you're going to be good at is not the title. It's not the task. It's not the tactic. It's really those values that you bring to it. For me, it was, making customers successful and having a mindset around innovation. So I would 1,000% lean in on that. That's going to shape you and help you make great decisions in what you want out of your career and how you define success. I always feel like, we're all humans, and so I am definitely going to preface this with, I am not a perfect individual nor a perfect leader. I do try to admit my mistakes, so I think honesty and really being open and flexible and adaptable. If you mess up, then call it and say, I messed up. Let's figure out how we move forward. I also think that marketing is one of the most unforgiving or forgiving areas inside a company, right? The goal is for marketing to be at the center of risk and at the center of direction. And you can't beat yourself up over bad decisions. You have to learn from them and move on. So I really like the honesty factor, the admitting factor. Ultimately, what I expect out of people who work for me is that ability to kind of, assess and own and then, move on and build, right? That's the key. I think that creates a level of empathy with your teams. It creates a level of honesty with execs. And hopefully it keeps you centered on what you're trying to drive, which marketing's job is to make a market. So you can't do that if you don't have that lens through which you're looking at it. Honestly, marketing, I think, is one of the hardest parts of an organization to be in, right? Everybody knows how to do your job better than you do. Everybody has the smartest ideas. Your job is to not out-argue the idea. Your job is to figure out the impact that it's going to have, and that makes you a really great partner, and that's a really hard thing to do. For marketers, I think that resiliency is critical. My superpower is being bold and taking risks. I like to be ahead. I found that in the beginning of my career, I was always saying I want to be able to look around the corner. I find that everybody says that now. That is the definition of being bold. I think the nemesis that comes with that is sometimes I outpace my team, I outpace the company, and I think that you have to really pull yourself back and say, listen, if this is a great idea, then, how do you build to it? So I am bold. I am a risk taker with balance. I always have to learn how to balance. The biggest flop I've ever had comes from having hubris as a young marketer, and that has tainted how I work ever since. That is hubris in how you think about the decisions that you make. Way back when, ran the 800 numbers for catalogs, and I put one into print that wasn't even on our bank, and I was responsible for going and securing that phone number back. That demonstrated to me the strength of, you got to be able to check all the details. Just because you do it doesn't make it right, and you have to be willing to pivot and to kind of go and access and get certain things back if you do it wrong. And I think, listen, all campaigns in terms of success have to be looked at through the lens of what went right, what went wrong. Everything that I've done has always taught me, and I always try to look at the failures versus the successes because I actually learn the most from them in terms of how to lead, how to measure, what not to do the next time. So yeah, there's probably a whole host of many other things that went wrong-ish, good-ish in my career, but less about me and more about the people that I work with. I'll put them as being successful and me as, taking the learnings. I also think it's really important as a leader, when I do win, it's never me. It can't be me. Yeah. It's got to be the people who did it, because at the end of the day, I'm signing checks, right? I'm not doing. Lego, I did work with them in a customer story once, but Lego, because they're so maniacal about their brand. They retain their value. They're always consistent, and somehow people love that consistency, so invite them in to just be them. I really love that. Harley Davidson. I do not own a motorcycle, but They were doing community and lifestyle way long before those were even interesting words. That kind of gives you a sense of what I value in brands. Something that's, stick to your values and stick to who you are and be really good at it so that everybody wants you. And then how are you creating a community? How are people coming to you and saying, I'm part of this? I love that.